All right, let's dive into something pretty fascinating today, the world of Pan.
Oh, cool.
But not just the, typical Greek myth stuff.
Right.
We're going deep with Vexior's PANPARADOX Pan towards chaos.
Oh, wow.
And this one gets intense.
Sounds like it.
Talking black magic, chaos philosophy.
Yeah.
Even this whole concept of the book being like a, quote, black link to one's dark subconsciousness. You ready for this?
I am. I mean, Vexior always has such a unique approach. He's a self-identified black magician. And this book, it came out in 2009, frames Pan in a whole new light.
Yeah.
And what I find so interesting is he actually includes rituals and sigils for connecting with Pan's energy. It's not just theory.
Yeah, that whole black link thing, it kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
Like, what are we hiding? What shadows are we not facing? Is that what he's getting at with chaos magic?
He argues that it's about really understanding yourself and your existence, but like way deeper than society knows.
Okay.
He talks about igniting the black flame of Lucifer, which for him means understanding chaos, the formlessness of it, and basically offering yourself to the, quote, dark gods of chaos.
Okay, hold on. This is getting pretty intense now.
Right.
We're talking about Lucifer, right? Like Satan.
Yeah.
I'm going to need some clarification here on what Vexior actually means by all this.
It is intense, but Vexior is very upfront that this is his personal belief, his perspective.
Yeah.
He believes Lucifer is Satan, calls him his chaos father.
Mm.
But the takeaway for me is his black chaos magic is about a deep understanding of yourself.
So it's not like devil worship. It's more about confronting your own inner darkness. Am I getting that right?
Exactly. And Vexior says that the book itself is designed to help you do that, confront the darkness, break free from illusions.
Okay.
And that ultimately leads to empowerment.
Okay, so we've got this intense stuff about Lucifer and darkness.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think of the classic Pan image, dancing in the woods, playing his pipes, maybe causing a little mischief. Where does that fit in? The happy-go-lucky Pan.
Well, that's where it gets interesting, right? Because Vexior actually connects Pan to another trickster,
Okay.
Loki from Norse mythology.
Ah.
He argues that Loki's actions, especially in Ragnarok, the whole destruction and rebirth of everything,
Right.
align with Pan's essence.
Well, so wait, both Pan and Loki are like agents of chaos.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, maybe chaos isn't inherently bad, but like necessary for change?
Okay, before we go too far down that road, remind me.
Yeah.
Pan's origin story. Wasn't his own mom totally freaked out when she saw him? How'd he end up on Mount Olympus?
Yeah, so his birth was definitely unusual, right?
Yeah.
He's the son of Hermes and Penelope, but some myths say Hermes like tricked Penelope while disguised as a goat.
Oh, okay.
So Pan's born with hoops, horns, the whole goat look.
Uh-huh.
Penelope, understandably, runs away, but the gods on Mount Olympus, they accepted him.
Maybe they saw something beyond the goat-like appearance.
Yeah.
Like recognized that untamed, chaotic energy he had.
Right, like he was a reminder of wildness, even in a world of divine order. And it ties into what Vexior is saying about, confronting our own darkness.
Right.
Maybe the parts of ourselves that we think are unacceptable or ugly are actually like sources of power, something we need to embrace.
Yeah, it's like we try to keep everything neat and tidy,
Right.
push down anything that doesn't fit the image of who we think we should be.
Exactly.
But what if embracing those hidden parts, that wildness, is actually the key?
That's a great question. And Vexior actually gives a really interesting example of what that confrontation with the chaotic self might actually look like.
Okay, lay it on me.
He describes building an altar to Pan
Uh-huh.
and trying to connect with him through rituals.
Rituals? Okay, what are we talking here? Sacrificing goats that are a full moon?
Thankfully, no goats were harmed.
Okay, good.
But he does describe using specific sigils, lighting candles, meditating on certain images, even assuming physical postures that he believes align with Pan's energy.
So he's not just reading about Pan, he's like doing these magical experiments, trying to connect with him directly.
Exactly.
And how did that go?
He describes it as incredibly powerful, like beyond just seeing or hearing, a full body experience.
Wow.
And he says it changed him profoundly.
Okay, but invoking chaotic energy.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of risky, right? What happens if that connection gets too intense?
Well, Vexior is very honest about that.
Okay.
He describes panic attacks, feeling overwhelmed by fear and confusion, even having suicidal thoughts.
Whoa. Okay, suicidal thoughts. That's serious. This is not for the faint of heart, it sounds like.
Definitely not. Vexior is clear that this requires a certain level of mental and emotional strength, to handle this energy.
So it's not just lighting a few candles and hoping for the best. There's real responsibility involved here.
Absolutely. And he's very clear that it's not something to be taken lightly.
Okay, well, that's a pretty heavy thought.
Yeah.
But before we go too deep into rituals and risks and all that, let's step back. back to Pan's origins, how does Vexior connect this whole primal chaos idea to the more traditional view of Pan as a nature god?
Right, so he acknowledges that connection to nature.
Yeah.
But he says it's way more than just representing forests and fields.
Okay.
He sees Pan as like this primal force that existed even before the cosmos. A chaotic energy that's like the basis of existence itself.
So it's not just nature like we see it, it's the raw power that creates everything.
Exactly, and he even compares Pan to the ancient Egyptian god Min.
Min.
Yeah, often depicted with goat-like features as well.
Huh. Okay, I don't know that one.
Right, but Min is this primeval force connected to fertility and creation. So like Pan representing this raw, creative energy.
Even though they're from totally different cultures?
Right, but both essential to the universe's birth.
And Vexior argues that this energy, this raw, creative energy, it's still accessible to us today.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, how? Give me the how-to here. Are we chanting in the woods, sacrificing goats? Okay, I'll stop with the goat jokes. But seriously, what does Vexior suggest?
Well, he recommends spending time in desolate places, away from all the distractions of modern life.
Okay.
He believes those places allow you to be more open to the subtle energies of nature.
Yeah, it's like finding those spots where the veil is thin, right?
Exactly.
Where we can tap into that raw energy more easily.
Yeah, he suggests immersing yourself in nature, being open to the experience, but approaching it with respect and humility.
So not trying to control it, but more like surrendering to it.
That seems to be his point, that the most effective way to work with Pan is to let him guide you on a journey of self-discovery.
This is already getting pretty deep, and I feel like we're just like scratching the surface.
Oh yeah, there's so much more to Vexior's Pan paradox.
Okay.
Including how he views Pan as a guide on this path of self-discovery.
Okay, so before we get too far ahead, let's just recap for a sec. We've talked about Pan as this symbol of chaos, his potential connection to Loki, the risks of working with this energy. What's standing out to you is really important.
One thing that really strikes me is this whole idea of pan-pestilence.
Okay, pan-pestilence. We got to break that down.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that?
Well, he describes Pan as having no physical form, but existing as this kind of like psychic imprint on the human mind.
Okay.
And he believes Pan can actually influence our thoughts and actions, like in a really profound way.
Whoa, so pan-pestilence is not like a literal disease?
No, not a physical one, but more like this chaotic influence that disrupts how we normally think and behave.
Okay, so kind of like an infection, but for our minds.
Exactly, and he suggests that this can be both really liberating, breaking down those illusions, but also terrifying.
Yeah.
It can lead to madness and despair if you're not ready for it.
Okay, so then what does he mean by being prepared? We've talked about mental and emotional strength.
Yeah.
What else?
He talks a lot about having a really strong sense of self, like a core set of values and beliefs that can act as an anchor in the middle of this chaos.
So it's like you need a solid foundation before you go venturing into this wild territory.
Exactly. You need something to hold on to.
Yeah.
A sense of who you are and what you believe in to help you navigate it.
Man, my mind is already blown, and I feel like we're just getting started.
I know, right?
We've gone from playful goat man to this cosmic force that's like messing with our minds.
Right. And we're only just beginning to unravel the mysteries of PANPARADOX.
Okay, I am definitely ready for more.
Me too. So Vexior, he actually described a specific ritual, like to connect with Pan.
Okay.
The panic ritual.
Uh-huh.
It involves like creating this sacred space, using specific sigils, invocations, really focusing on Pan's energy. It's not your typical medication, that's for sure.
Panic ritual. Just the name is a little unsettling.
Right.
But so what's he trying to achieve with this? Like, is it about literally making you panic?
He says it's not about panic in like the everyday sense.
Okay.
He argues that the ritual helps you access a deeper understanding of yourself and the universe. It's a way to confront those fears, those limitations,
Right.
ultimately leading to that gnosis we talked about, the enlightened awareness.
So it's more about confronting the things that typically cause panic, right? Like our shadow selves, those parts we try to bury.
Yeah, like embracing the pan-pestilence. He suggests that this confrontation, as uncomfortable as it can be, is actually essential for growth.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this connects.
Yeah.
It's not about worshiping Pan like a god in the traditional sense.
Right.
It's more about using his energy, his symbolism, as tools for self-discovery.
Exactly.
And what I find so interesting is that Vexior doesn't just talk theory.
Yeah.
He gives practical advice, actual rituals, sigils, invocations, even musical scores,
Amazing.
all designed to help you connect with Pan's energy.
Yeah, like a magical toolkit for self-discovery.
But it sounds like it takes real commitment
Oh,
to
absolutely.
be willing to go that deep, confront those unknown parts of yourself.
It's not an easy path, that's for sure.
So we've been talking about the theory, the rituals,
Yeah.
but I'm also curious about Vexior's own experiences. Did he actually, like, encounter Pan on a personal level? Was it all good, or were there some darker moments?
Well, he's incredibly honest in the book
Okay.
about his experiences. He talks about having panic attacks, feeling overwhelmed by fear, even contemplating suicide.
Wow, suicide, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah, and he's very clear about the potential dangers
Right.
that if you're not prepared, you can get lost in your own mind, basically.
There's definitely a fine line there, right, between seeking self-discovery and potentially losing yourself.
Absolutely. You need balance, responsibility.
So how do you find that balance?
He talks about setting clear intentions,
Okay.
having a purpose for working with Pan, grounding yourself in your values.
So it's like you need a strong foundation before you jump into this.
Yeah, and he even suggests maybe finding a mentor, someone to guide you, support you. This isn't something you do alone.
This is already so much more than I expected.
Yeah, right.
From mischievous goat man to, like, these intense concepts of chaos and self-discovery and even potential risks.
And we haven't even talked about his comparison of Pan to Loki yet.
Oh, right, the Norse trickster god.
Yeah, he has a whole chapter on that.
Okay, I gotta admit, that's got me intrigued. What's the connection between a Greek nature god and a Norse trickster god? Are they just both troublemakers?
Well, Vexior argues they both embody the archetype of the trickster, a figure who disrupts things, challenges authority, makes us face uncomfortable truths.
So there's a purpose to their trickery. It's not just random chaos.
Exactly. He believes the trickster forces us to question things, think outside the box, be open to change. It's about shaking things up so something new can emerge.
Like the cosmic jesters, poking fun at our rigid beliefs,
Yeah, I like that.
helping us loosen up.
And he connects Loki's role in Ragnarok,
Yeah.
the destruction and rebirth, to
Right.
Pan's essence. They both represent this fundamental force of chaos.
So it's not just about chaos for chaos's sake.
No.
It's about recognizing it as necessary for growth, for renewal.
That's the key takeaway. Change is inevitable, and clinging to the old ways just doesn't work.
It's a pretty radical perspective.
It is.
Makes you wonder how we can embrace that chaotic energy in our everyday lives.
You know, Vexior talks about the feeling of panic, that sudden fear, anxiety, as an direct encounter with the chaotic nature of reality.
Wait, so you're saying, like, everyday panic when we're stressed or overwhelmed,
Yeah.
that's a glimpse into this cosmic chaos.
That's exactly what he suggests, that in those moments, the veil between order and chaos gets thin, and we're confronted with this raw energy that's always there, underlying everything.
Okay, that's both fascinating and kind of terrifying.
Right.
Like, maybe those moments of panic aren't something to fear, but like a chance to connect with something deeper?
Vexior seems to think so. He says that while panic can be unsettling,
Yeah.
it can also be incredibly liberating.
Hmm.
It can shake us out of complacency
Right.
and lead to a more authentic way of being.
So it's like a test, a trial by fire,
Yeah, a test of our resilience.
to adapt to the unpredictable nature of life.
Exactly. And he believes that if you can withstand that panic, face your fears, embrace the chaos, you come out stronger, more self-aware.
So it's not about avoiding chaos.
No.
It's about learning to navigate it, finding your footing in the middle of the storm.
Exactly. And he offers some practical advice.
Okay.
Grounding yourself in your values, developing a strong sense of self, cultivating practices like meditation, mindfulness.
So it's not just letting go completely.
No.
It's about finding that balance between control and surrender.
Exactly. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
A lifelong journey.
And Vexior is clear that there's no quick fix, no easy solution.
Right.
It's about asking questions, challenging your assumptions, being open to maybe needing to shake things up a bit.
Exactly, and he continues to push those boundaries in his exploration of Pan's paradoxical nature. He describes Pan as this figure who embodies both creation and destruction,
Okay.
joy and terror, darkness and light.
So he's not just this one-dimensional, happy-go-lucky nature god.
No, not at all.
There's a darker side.
Absolutely. He describes him as a force that can inspire, but also terrify, liberate, and enslave. He's connected to wild nature, but also music, laughter,
Yeah.
the celebration of life.
So it's like he's both sides of the same coin, representing the full spectrum of human experience.
That's a great way to put it.
But how do we reconcile those opposite forces within ourselves? Embrace the darkness and the light, the wild and the tame.
That's the million-dollar question, right? It's easy to talk about it theoretically,
Yeah.
but what does it actually look like? Vexior offers some practical advice.
Okay.
Spending time in nature, engaging in creative pursuits, pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, allowing yourself to feel the full range of emotions, good and bad.
So bringing Pan's energy into everyday life, not just keeping it in rituals and concepts.
Exactly. Finding ways to integrate that wildness into our civilized existence.
Yeah.
Finding that balance between order and chaos.
This is definitely shifting my perspective.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see chaos not as something to be scared of, but as like a potential source of creativity.
Right.
Transformation.
But it's understandable to be apprehensive, especially after hearing about Vexior's experiences with panic and despair.
Right.
Vexior emphasizes the need for respect and responsibility when working with Pan's energy.
Yeah.
But he also suggests that confronting the darkness, the shadow side,
Right.
that's essential for becoming whole.
It's like we can't truly embrace the light without acknowledging the shadow.
Yeah.
True joy doesn't exist without the awareness of sorrow.
Exactly. And Vexior believes that Pan, with his paradoxical nature, can guide us on that journey.
To embrace wholeness, integrate the light and the shadow.
Yeah, the chaotic and the orderly.
Wow, this is a lot to process, but it's definitely making me think.
I know, right?
And I'm definitely curious to hear more about Vexior's exploration of this path.
Yeah, me too.
So what else does he have to offer?
Well, he goes on to explore Pan's connection to a lot of other concepts.
Okay.
Including his role as a psychopomp.
A psychopomp?
Yeah, basically a guide of souls in the afterlife.
Okay, got to break that one down for me. What does that even mean?
In a lot of cultures, psychopomps are spiritual beings.
Okay.
Who guide the souls of the dead to the afterlife, kind of like intermediaries between the worlds.
So Pan might have a role to play in our understanding of death.
It's a possibility Vexior explores, and he connects this psychopomp role to Pan's association with wild nature, suggesting that just as nature is constantly cycling through life, death, and rebirth, so too does Pan guide us through those transitions.
This is heavy stuff, man.
It is.
Okay, I need a minute to process all this. We've gone from playful goat man to cosmic trickster to guide of souls.
And there's more.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, he also dives into Pan's connection to dreams and visions.
Okay.
Suggesting he can appear in our dreams, offering guidance, insights, even warning.
So he can reach us on a subconscious level, not just through rituals.
Exactly. Vexior encourages paying attention to dreams, especially those that feature Pan.
Right.
Or other symbols of the wild and chaotic. He believes they can offer clues about our inner journey.
It's like this giant puzzle.
It is.
Each piece we uncover reveals a whole new layer of meaning.
And we haven't even touched on one of the most fascinating and maybe controversial aspects.
Okay, I'm listening. Hit me with it.
The connection between sexuality and Pan.
Okay, now we're getting into interesting territory.
Right. We know Pan has a bit of a reputation.
Yeah.
But how does Vexior approach it?
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from it.
Okay.
He acknowledges that connection to lust, fertility, the primal forces of nature, but he argues it goes way deeper than just physical gratification.
So it's not just about sex for sex's sake.
Exactly. He suggests that sexuality, when approached consciously,
Okay.
can be a powerful tool for connecting with Pan's energy and achieving gnosis.
Okay, so how does he connect sexuality to gnosis?
He sees it as a way to tap into those primal instincts, break down the ego, experience a more embodied way of being.
So like accessing a deeper part of ourselves.
Yeah.
A part that's connected to that wild, untamed energy.
Exactly. And he believes this connection can be incredibly transformative.
Okay.
Helping us shed inhibitions, embrace our sensuality, experience a deeper connection with ourselves and the world.
This is definitely taking our deep dive into some uncharted water.
It is.
But I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
He offers specific practices, rituals, designed to tap into this sexual energy, but he emphasizes approaching it with respect, reverence. It's not about exploiting this energy for selfish reasons.
Okay, so not just using it for personal gain.
Definitely not. He sees it as a sacred act, a way to connect with the divine. It should be treated with care and intention.
So like a very conscious and mindful approach to sexuality, aligned with this deeper exploration of Pan.
Exactly. And he suggests that Pan, through his wild nature, can teach us how to harness that power without being consumed by it.
Man, this deep dive has really changed how I see Pan.
Me sure.
He's so much more than I ever imagined.
I know.
A force of nature, a symbol of chaos, a guide for self-discovery, and now a teacher of sacred sexuality.
And Vexior doesn't stop there.
Of course not.
He goes on to explore Pan's potential to bring both ecstatic joy
Okay.
and terrifying panic.
Embracing Pan means embracing the full spectrum. The
Exactly.
light and the shadow, the pleasure and the pain.
And through embracing that full spectrum, we can achieve a greater sense of wholeness and understanding of ourselves in the universe.
This is already so much more than I ever imagined.
I know, it's amazing.
I feel like we barely scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah, we have.
And it's already mind-blowing.
It's a dense work, but it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
It's not just retelling old myths, it's exploring a living archetype.
Right?
A force that's still relevant today.
I'm starting to see Pan everywhere now.
I know, right?
Like in the rustling of leaves, the crashing of waves, even the chaos of my own mind.
That's exactly what Vexior wants. He wants us to see Pan not as this distant figure, but as a living force.
Yeah.
Present in everything.
This deep dive is really having a profound effect on me.
I can tell.
I'm seeing the world in a whole new light.
Or darkness.
Or darkness, yeah.
That's just the beginning.
Okay, I'm ready to dive deeper.
All right, let's do it.
What else can you tell me about Vexior's exploration of Pan?
Well, one of the most fascinating things he talks about is the transformative power of Pan's energy. He describes experiencing this, profound shift in his own consciousness as he went deeper.
So it's not just about intellectually understanding it.
Right, it's not just head knowledge.
It's about actually experiencing a change within yourself.
Exactly.
Letting that energy reshape how you see the world, how you exist in the world.
And he says this transformation can be liberating, but also challenging, ecstatic, terrifying.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Right. He doesn't shy away from the darker aspects, but he also emphasizes the incredible potential for growth.
It sounds like it takes a certain kind of courage to even step onto this path.
It does. You have to be willing to face the unknown.
Yeah.
Embrace the unpredictable.
This deep dive is already pushing me to the edge of my comfort zone.
I bet.
In a good way, though.
Yeah.
It's making me think about things differently.
That's good.
Question the boundaries I've built around my own understanding.
And that's just the beginning. Vexior has so much more to offer.
Okay, like what?
Well, his insights into the symbolism of Pan's physical form, his exploration of the connection between Pan and Lucifer.
Right, we've touched on that a bit.
And his analysis of the role of music and sound in connecting with Pan.
Okay, yeah, the Lucifer connection, I'm really curious about that.
Yeah.
We've talked about it briefly.
Yeah.
But how does Vexior really develop that idea in the book?
He has a whole chapter dedicated to his personal relationship with Lucifer, who he identifies as Satan and his chaos father.
Okay.
He sees Lucifer as the ultimate rebel, the individual rejecting societal norms.
So challenging authority, questioning dogma.
Exactly.
Embracing a more individualistic path.
And he argues that Pan is like a direct manifestation of Lucifer's will, this powerful force for breaking down illusions.
So dismantling the false light, as he calls it.
Right, and revealing the true chaotic nature of reality.
It's amazing how he weaves all these different ideas together.
I know, right?
From mythology, magic, his own personal experiences.
It's really fascinating.
Creating something that's both beautiful and terrifying.
He's a master storyteller.
He is.
And he does it in a way that really makes you think. He's not just telling you things, he's inviting you into a conversation.
Right.
Encouraging you to question your own assumptions.
Yeah.
Explore your own mind.
Okay, so we talked about the theory, the philosophy.
Yeah.
But what about the practical side? How do you actually connect with this energy, Pan and Lucifer's energy? What does he suggest?
He offers a variety of methods.
Okay.
Medication, visualization, ritual work. But he emphasizes finding what works for you.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme.
Right. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
So it's about experimenting, finding what resonates with you.
Exactly. He provides a framework, but ultimately you forge your own path.
Right.
And he stresses personal responsibility, that this can be dangerous if you're not careful.
Oh, not just about blindly invoking power.
No, you have to understand the consequences, be prepared.
Right, because we've heard about those consequences.
Yeah, he's upfront about the risks.
Yeah.
He shares his own experiences, the terror, the feeling overwhelmed.
This is serious stuff.
It is.
Not for the casual dabbler.
Right, it's about self-discovery, transformation,
Yeah.
but it demands courage, resilience.
Okay.
So, yeah, not just the playful side of Pan.
Right.
You have to confront the darkness, too.
The chaos, the potential for destruction.
His perspective is nuanced. He doesn't try to sugarcoat it. He shows you Pan in all his complexity.
I appreciate that.
The good and the bad, all mixed together.
So to really understand Pan, to work with this chaotic force,
Yeah.
we have to accept all of it.
The light and the shadow.
This is giving me so much to think about.
I know, me too.
I'm seeing Pan in a whole new light. Or darkness.
Or darkness, yeah.
And it sounds like we're just scratching the surface.
Oh, yeah, there's more.
Okay, give me more. What else?
Well, he compares Pan to other figures from mythology.
Like
Well, he has a fascinating comparison to Loki.
Loki, the Norse god of mischief.
Yeah, the trickster.
I can see some similarities.
Right. They both have that disruptive energy, challenging our assumptions. And Vexior argues that this ability to disrupt, to challenge, it's actually necessary for growth, for evolution. They're both agents of change.
Right.
Breaking down the old to make way for the new.
Like cosmic wrenches in the works, keeping things moving.
I like that, yeah.
Preventing the universe from getting stuck.
They remind us that change is inevitable.
Yeah.
Clinging to the old ways just doesn't work.
Okay, so we've got Pan as chaos, change, a guide for self-discovery.
Yeah.
But how does Vexior connect that to the more traditional view of Pan as a nature god?
He acknowledges that connection to nature.
Right.
But he says it goes much deeper than just representing forests and fields.
So it's more than just the surface level nature stuff.
Right. He sees Pan as this primal force existing before the cosmos even. An energy that's the foundation of existence.
So it's not just nature as we see it, it's the power that creates everything.
Exactly. And he compares Pan to the ancient Egyptian god Min.
We talked about it earlier.
Right. Also depicted with goat-like features, representing this primeval force connected to fertility and creation.
So even though they're from different cultures, they both represent this raw, creative energy.
Right. Essential to the universe's birth.
And Vexior says this energy is still accessible to us.
Absolutely.
Okay, how do we tap into it? Are we talking like chanting, rituals?
Well, he talks about spending time in desolate places.
Okay.
Away from distractions, being open to the subtle energies of nature.
So finding those places where you can really connect.
Exactly, where the veil is thin.
And he stresses approaching it with respect, humility.
Not trying to control it.
Or like surrendering to it.
Letting Pan guide you on a journey of self-discovery.
This is pretty powerful stuff.
It is.
It's not about imposing our will on chaos.
No.
It's about letting chaos work on us.
Exactly, letting go of control, embracing the unpredictable.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of how deep this goes.
Yeah.
But what are some of the key insights Vexior shares?
Well, one of the most interesting is the concept of pan-pestilence.
We talked about that earlier.
Right. He describes Pan as having no physical form, but existing as this psychic imprint on our minds.
Okay.
And he believes Pan can actually influence our thoughts, our actions.
It's like this chaotic energy that can, like, infect our mind.
Yeah, disrupt our thinking, our behavior.
And he says this can be both liberating and terrifying.
Right.
Like, it can shatter illusions.
Yeah, but it can also lead to madness if you're not ready.
So we need to be strong, self-aware to handle this.
And he talks about building a strong sense of self, a core set of values, beliefs, to act as an anchor.
Okay, so solid foundation before venturing into the pan-pestilence.
Exactly.
And again, approaching it with humility, respect,
right.
Not trying to control Pan's energy.
No, surrendering to it, letting it guide you.
Yeah, letting go of control.
Embracing the unpredictable.
Man, this is taking us to some wild places.
It is.
I'm seeing Pan in a whole new light now.
Me too.
He's more than just a mischievous god.
So much more.
A force of nature, a guide, a sibyl of chaos.
And Vexior doesn't shy away from the darker side.
We've talked about that.
Right. He's upfront about the dangers.
Yeah.
But he also suggests the rewards can be huge.
Okay, like what?
He talks about the possibility of achieving gnosis.
Right, that state of enlightened awareness.
Exactly, through working with Pan.
So how do you achieve that? What are the specifics?
Well, he describes a variety of techniques.
Okay.
Meditation, visualization, rituals, but again, finding what works for you.
Right, the individual approach.
And he stresses that this isn't for everyone.
Right.
There's real risk involved.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared, you can be overwhelmed.
So it's not just some lighthearted spiritual thing.
You know, it takes commitment, personal strength.
It's about being able to handle the power.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have a good grasp of Vexior's overall view of Pan.
Yeah.
But what are some of the stories, the rituals that really make this come to life?
Well, one of the most striking examples is his account of building an altar to Pan.
Okay.
And attempting to connect through ritual.
So he's not just reading about it, he's actively trying to connect.
Yeah, he describes lighting candles, meditating on images, even assuming a specific posture to align with Pan's energy.
And what happened?
He describes it as incredibly powerful, like beyond words. Feeling Pan's presence in a way that's like physical.
Whoa.
It was a transformative experience for him.
Okay, but was it all positive? Because we've talked about the risks.
Yeah, and he's very honest about that.
Okay.
He talks about panic attacks, feeling overwhelmed by fear.
Yeah.
Even contemplating suicide.
Wow, suicide.
Yeah, he describes it as this death-striking fear
Hmm.
brought on by the complex presence of Loki.
Right, the god he sees as connected to Pan. So this isn't just some harmless exploration.
No, there's real darkness here.
Yeah, a real danger.
And Vexior says this path isn't for everyone.
Hmm.
You need mental and emotional strength.
It's not just about the power.
No.
It's about being able to handle it.
Exactly. He emphasizes that Pan is a force of nature.
Right.
Like fire, like water.
Powerful, but dangerous.
It's up to you to learn how to work with him safely. And Vexior doesn't shy away from exploring those techniques. He even talks about using Pan as his, magical black wand in his workings.
His magical black wand. Okay, I'm not sure I follow that.
Yeah, it's probably a metaphor, but it shows how important Pan is to his practice. He even mentions Pan's chalice and intellect. He uses the Latin poculum and oculus. He sees Pan as the one who ignites the torch of Lucifer, brings forth the black flame of Gnosis.
Whoa, that's some powerful imagery.
It is.
So it's like Pan is more than just a god to Vexior.
Yeah.
He's like this source of inspiration for his whole magical practice.
Definitely more than just a name on a page. It makes you think about how these archetypes can really change us.
So it's not just about the rituals, the reading, it's about letting their energy, become a part of you.
Right, changing how you see the world, how you see yourself.
And Vexior says this could be pretty intense.
Yeah.
Even unsettling.
He describes it as feeling like Pan is creeping up behind you, sprinkling gasoline on your back and flicking matches at you.
Okay, that's a little creepy, but I get the feeling.
Yeah, like shaking you out of your comfort zone,
Right.
forcing you to confront those dark parts of yourself. And he says this discomfort, this confrontation with darkness, is essential for real nurses. It's about facing those fears,
Right.
embracing the chaotic nature of reality.
So we can break free from those illusions that keep us trapped. This deep dive has totally changed how I see Pan. He's so much more than just a playful nature god.
Right, he's a force of nature himself.
An embodiment of that primal energy.
That can be terrifying and liberating.
And Vexior doesn't hold back. He shows us all of it.
The beautiful, the terrifying, the playful, the destructive, all mixed together.
So if someone's interested in exploring Pan's energy,
Yeah.
what advice does Vexior give? Where do you even start with something like this?
He says to approach it with respect.
Okay.
Humility. Don't try to control Pan's energy. He's not going to be tamed.
Yeah.
Surrender to his guidance. Let him lead you.
So finding that balance between engaging with his energy, but also surrendering to the unpredictability of it all.
Exactly. And he's very clear that this path isn't for everyone.
Right, we've talked about that.
It takes courage,
Yeah.
resilience, a deep commitment to self-exploration.
It's not about easy answers.
No, not at all.
Well, I think it's safe to say our minds are officially blown.
I think so.
Vexior's PANPARADOX is not your typical book.
No, it's a wild ride.
Through black magic, the depths of human consciousness,
With Pan as our guide.
it's definitely a journey into the unknown.
And while Vexior gives us rituals and practices,
Right.
he's clear that those are just a starting point.
Yeah, find your own path to chaos.
Exactly.
Pan.
Pan.
And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into PANPARADOX. Thanks for joining us. And as always, happy exploring.
Oh, Susie,